And interactions that we had. I mean, I laughed with Darren Neal for a good 5 minutes just talking about whatever else, So he was giving it the old tequila shot at 6:30 in the morning or whatever it was, just to get himself going for the day. But I think that's all he had. It was tea and coffee after that, I think. But just to get in the spirit of the whole thing. And yeah, like I said, I've never seen as many Newcastle fans over here in my life, and there's more coming to the actual game here in Atlanta. I mean, I'm talking probably thousands that'll descend on Atlanta. So
I think it's great. I think it's great that they've done this because they've come out there. It's the first expedition out there since the takeover. Yep. And I think the fact that there's going to be games out there, you're going to be at the games, Kev. So you're going to be our roving reporter, I guess, out there. It's going to be it's fantastic. And this is what we've always wanted. Newcastle United reaching out to the supporters around the world. Because we get it all on our doorstep when we live here. But you guys as expats don't get the opportunity to see and meet people like that, and it's great. I get a buzz off watching your videos.
It's a kind of phrase. It's a kind of phrase. It feels united again. Because I'm still a season ticket holder, but I live here. But I've still got some sort of affinity with the club. But I've been here 14 years, so it's just nice to again feel a part of it. Because as we know, for the past 14 years, I've been living here, being disconnected, literally and figuratively as well. So, it's just nice to, like I said, for Darren Neal to give his time. And I thanked him for that. And he was he's genuinely appreciative of everyone who was there. He made sure he talked to everybody, or at least tried to, or whatever it was. And Nobby was the same. It was like I said, it was a fantastic morning.
Brilliant stuff, mate. Okay, we'll cut off from there now and just look back at the game, Kevin. Your views on that game at the weekend. I mean, I took a 2-1 to Newcastle, and we were so close to getting it, but Leeds deserved that. Sam Allardyce got them in the right frame of mind. Whatever we think of him, he got them up for the game. He got them focused. They chased, they harassed, they harangued. They tried to kick lumps out of us. And they got a point, and it was a deserved point for me. So, what was your views on the game?
It's what we kind of expected from a Sam Allardyce side, fighting for relegation, essentially. Rile them, like you said, totally agree. Rile them up, kick lumps out of you, try to play a little bit of football if you possibly can, get back to front as quickly as you can, create a bit of chaos from crosses, set plays, and things like that. But again, I thought, not delving into it in terms of the referee, I thought he was pretty poor on the day. There was a few other aggravated assaults outside of the one on Eddie Howe, but on the field, right from within the first 20-odd seconds or something, when Dan Burn nearly got put into the away end, and that would set the tone for them. So they set the tone, and we, again, I think, couldn't react to that or respond to that in the way we played. I thought we played okay. I mean, we got a point. I'll take a point away from home in the Premier League, but I think we should have rose above that. But we played into their hands by making it slow. They wanted it slow. I thought we could have shifted the ball a little bit quicker from left to right, right to left. Not go direct, because I don't think we could have, but we can't play that way, essentially. So again, just the movement of the ball was the biggest thing, and it looked a little bit leggy from what the guy said yesterday, and I agree with that. It looked a little bit leggy. The way they wanted us to play was just, again, I've said this for a while, that when teams playing a low block, I think we struggle. And that's what happened on, what day is it? Yeah, yesterday, Sunday. Trying to remember what day it is now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, point to point, we'll move on. Got Leicester at home. Brighton at home, sorry, in two big games, and I think that'll see us over the line.
Yeah, Magpie Review, welcome. He said big game versus Brighton Thursday after they demolished Arsenal away 3-0, and you're right. Yeah, I mean, look, games on paper, it means nothing, because it's, as we know, the end of the season, anything can happen. Darren, 2-2 against Leeds, not the result we were hoping for, but a point to point, we shouldn't grumble.
I didn't watch it because I was at a football tournament. I see the first 5 minutes. I got in the car, we're getting beat. I got, what's going on? And then if Leeds score the penalty, they've won the game. Yeah. And they missed it. And then we've got to we'll end up getting a point out of it. So you'll take a point all day long. But our cup games is on Thursday. I'm confident beat Leicester. Brighton can be a hard game on Thursday, boys. And what people said about Newcastle didn't play good was like you said, you covered, was sloppy sometimes. They look tired. I don't think they look tired. And I don't like the early kickoffs too. I'm not a fan of the hard 12.
Yeah, we don't perform well in them, Darren. Not at all. I mean, opposed to the nighttime games, which I think was Tom who posted earlier. You know, our form in the nighttime kickoffs is absolutely sensational. We haven't lost a game on a nighttime. Eddie Howe, there we go. Look, Newcastle's evening kickoff results and Eddie Howe, 2 draws and then 9 wins, 0 losses, and that's a hell of a stat. But the kickoffs in an afternoon are pretty dismal, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I just didn't like it. I've never liked the 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday. It just doesn't appeal to me as a fan. But you still have, like, I don't think we've had none at home. The only one that was meant to be at home was Brighton. But that wasn't for the cup. It got delayed for the cup game, didn't it?
Yeah. It did. You're right. Paul Clark, good evening, says, I thought Arsenal were poor, more than Brighton being amazing. I would agree with that. I've got to be perfectly honest. There's some weird old results at the back end of the season.
But Arsenal give them 2 poor sloppy goals, and Brighton just punched them, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? Like, they keep them made 2 howlers. Yeah. And then Brighton managed to punish them. But Thursday, that's our cup final, boys. If we win it, I'll be saying that C word, Steve.
Yes, you still won't say Champions League. I know. I'll move on before you've got to say it. Don, you're right. He says, "Hi, all. A valuable point game. Not too lost. Forget the Stockholm syndrome." Yes, we've spoken about that many times on here. Barry, what was your take on the weekend's result?
I didn't realise, Steve, that I'd actually gone back in time, and I was watching Leeds United from the 1970s.
Yeah,
the way they were laying into us.
You can chuck all your medals in the bin. They mean nothing.
I was studying the pitch and I was thinking, is that Norman Hunter? Or is that Billy Bremner playing there? Because they were such dirty swines. It was just ridiculous. The referee just lost control. And I mean, there were so many fouls early on. And I know I listened to you guys yesterday, and I think it was Mitch said about how they were amazed the first booking went to us. That the first player to get booked was Bruno for diving. I mean, Christ, he was hacked down more times than out else. You just think, what a day. But it's a typical Sam Allardyce team. He doesn't put skill into teams. He puts like determination and grit. But it's just how the referee should be fair. Again, it looked like the referee was like controlling the game and had such an impact on the way we were playing because of the way they were allowed to get away with stuff. Again, I'm so fed up this season of one of our players getting hit with the ball and then flying into the back of the net. You know, I've seen it with Dan Burn. I've seen it with Trippier now getting hit on the side of the head. Bless him. You just feel it's like for once when they're looking at going to get hit and it goes straight up in the air. I mean, give them their dues. We knew Leeds were going to be up for it. We knew they were going to be in our face. We didn't play great. But it's like we said a few times, Steve, you realise now how much we're missing Murphy now and Longstaff.
Yeah, Murphy's injury was a little bit of a blow. I mean, look, Almiron's a cracking player. I just feel would have been more direct and, right footer on the right side, putting right hand crosses in would have been better. I've got to be perfectly honest. I thought he made a mistake taking Wilson off. Wilson had bagged 2 goals. He looked great. He was holding the line. He's in the best form of his life. And I just thought, if I had to criticise one change, it was that. I would have left Wilson on. He looked disappointed coming off. He's never going to look happy. But I think we had a winner in Callum Wilson at the weekend, and I think he probably would have got the goal, Barry.
The thing with Murphy as well, he would have gone for goal.
He would have, he's more direct.
They would have brought him down, and the amount of dodgy tackles they were chucking in would have gotten, God forbid, another penalty. Wouldn't have been far away from it.
But he was injured. So we can't blame Howe for that. He was fit enough to be on the bench, but he wasn't fully fit. Lottie, thanks for joining us. Arsenal were poor, but how much can you expect from a young team all season? Always be proud of them. As I said to John, I'm rooting for Newcastle midweek to spank them. Got to keep that optimism up on the terraces. It's vitally important for Thursday's game. Donald, good evening, mate. Good to see that you're now not a secret agent. You're back in the light. Last week people said it looked as if you were at the opera. Last week people thought you were at the opera. This week people said you're a spy.
Yeah, I'm more like Brooke Bond than James Bond, probably. But yeah, as regards the game, yeah, the penalty, came on. If that, as Darren mentioned earlier, if that had gone in, then we were going to struggle. That was, game gone. But well done, because obviously I play in goal and five-a-side, so I'm always looking at how keepers do. What a recovery parry by Nick Pope. That was, class goalkeeping. And one thing I will, just a little small criticism. In a game like that, we need to make our set pieces count. And our set pieces, again, were very poor. Yeah. That's something that needs to be looked into, because obviously we didn't manage to open them up as much in the first half. But when we get those free kicks or corners, we have to do something different. Obviously, that's a problem for next season. Now, there's only 3 games left. That was one thing. But, as the lads have said, we did okay. We found a way to get something. We didn't get all 3, but, we found a way to get something. And good teams always find a way to get something from a game.
A couple of seasons ago, we would have lost that, don't we?
Yes, we would have. Absolutely. We were gone. But, they dug in. Give credit where credit's due. They dug in. And, as I say, they got something. And just to end, well done to our security lad who stepped in when that idiot,
yeah, I mean, that was crazy. It really was. And what was more crazy and embarrassing, I think, for some of the networks was to go with the line, that it was almost deserved because, we're run by Saudi Arabia, as a country. I mean, crazy stuff.
Tosh, complete tosh.
What they would have said if there had been some serious injury to Eddie Howe, I really don't know. But fair play to our security, as you say, to sort it. Fair play to Leeds for coming out quickly. I know they'll be panicking, thinking they might get points deducted or whatever, but they banned the supporter immediately. He'll probably be back in 2 or 3 years. How on earth to stop people going in? Who knows? But yeah, look, they acted quickly and yeah, good point, Donald. Vince, good evening.
All right.
Yeah, good to see you, mate. What was your take on that game at the weekend?
Well, people are saying, just Leeds were dirty and lucky. That's the 2 statements I've got. Yeah, they were flying in tackles and all that, but I think we should have beat them. The ref didn't do things like that. Refs need to get a hold of the game. They card someone straight away, yellow card, it stops. Things like that. But no, he was a joke. He was a joke, letting them fly in. And there was one of the lads should have been sent off about 3 times, who eventually did get sent off. Jesus,
the Harlem Globetrotter.
Yeah, exactly. I know, exactly. I thought it was a lovely dunk. Yeah, but I mean, I'm getting sick of all this doom and no, lads, we've qualified for Europe. Doesn't matter which place, we've done that. Yeah. We were never thinking we would do that, anything like that this season. We've qualified for Europe. These lads, I'm so proud of my club, the manager, everything what they've done. This is amazing. This is absolutely fantastic. To see some of the fans, what they're saying and all that, having a go. And the reason why I was late, because a Leeds fan called Eddie Howe a moral coward for managing Newcastle United. Oh, God. So that got us going. So I went in on him but unbelievable, man. And he's saying, that's he's put himself in that situation. You're talking about morals, so you're saying that it's all right for someone to walk up someone and attack someone here. Lovely morals you've got, mate. But so it's just, to me, I'm loving it, absolutely loving it. These lads have done, we're really proud. It's just, they're fantastic. We are going into games now thinking, we should win that. In the past, it'd be I don't think we're going to get much there and stuff like that. This is all changing, and it's all changing fast. We're now well ahead of the game where we thought we're going to be, and I'm just looking at all the positives and where we are. This is amazing. We didn't think this at all. To be possibly going early into the Champions League, is fantastic. It's absolutely like it's all good for like his FFP, whatever the hell that's supposed to be. Like, I don't know, some other clubs, some other badges don't get seem to get touched by it, but yeah, like his it's just like it's fantastic. We're going to bringing up more revenue, like his sponsors and players as well. Now, like you look at the players that'll come to it because we're in the Champions League as well.
Yeah, I think you should see. Do you remember when we used to have that 0800 number they used to be able to ring? Was it Newcastle's phone line? I think what you need to do, Vince, is you need to set a phone line up so that when people are doubting what's going to happen, or if they're a bit down, they can just ring Vince, and you can just be on the end of that phone going, yeah, we're going to win, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. That would be great, Vince. You'd make a fortune, mate.
Oh, tell you, man. Yeah. I'll cheer everyone up.
Instead
come on.
Frank, ring Vince.
I know. Just like I said before, everyone get me shopping trolley because we're going to the winning line, going to the cash line, straight to the front of the queue.
Exactly. Good evening, George. George just disappeared at the wrong time. His internet failed at the wrong time. We'll bring him back on. We'll bring in John first. John, how are you?
Even to Steve, guys, everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for having us on your wonderful show, mate.
Good to have you on. Mate. And to be honest, John, give a quick plug to your channel first and foremost.
Yeah, thank you for having us on. And if you can find us on Twitch, on Facebook, on YouTube, it's John Sinclair TV. And if you find us on Instagram, it's John Sinclair 50 or lower cases, John_NUFC42 on Twitter. And find us on socials. I do anything really, watch along. I do previews and reviews. I do started doing Global Mag. I had a lad from Australia on yesterday. He was fantastic. And bit of transfer updates as well. Yeah, check us out. And I'm 75 away from getting 5K.
Well done, mate. Well done. Just want to ask you your views on the game. Then, what was your views on the game, mate?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, disappointed to drop 2 more points. And at the end of the day, but a point is a point. But at least had Gracia in charge. We would have won that game easily, by the way. Probably slapped them about 4 or 5s. But the goals conceded could have been preventable. But for me, we looked a little bit leggy at the end of the day. Trippier looked a bit leggy. Danby looked a bit leggy, in my opinion. But we didn't have that many chances at the end of the day. But the thing of the matter is, we didn't get beat. And the most important thing, but whether you get Champions League at the end of the season, who knows? But these are the sort of games, Steve, we're going to need to win, need to beat these bottom teams. Yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. But time will tell. But end of the Callum Wilson, I agree with you, mate. He should never have been coming off as well. I thought Miggy did little, if I'm honest with you. I thought our Botman, I love him, but he's slipped off a little bit. I can't lie. But at the end of the day, Thursday, Steve's a massive game. But glad we got a point. We didn't lose. But I agree with someone. If we went 2-0 down with a Bamford penalty, it probably would have been game over. However, we hung in there. And it is what it is, Steve. A point's a point. All you got to do now with these 2 games, and then we're in the Champions League.
Yeah, great stuff, mate. Tony, good evening, mate. I've just seen you out for a walk, but he's disappeared as well. He's got bad reception. To be honest, as well, where I'm sitting, there's been a sudden downpour. It's been a nice sunny evening here in the northeast, and then suddenly, boom, it's gone. So maybe he's gone to. He's probably ended up having a dive under a tree or something like that to get sorted out. We'll just come to the next point, which a lot of people wanted to make, which was about Bruno, Kevin, and we've spoken about this a couple of times on the show. I personally felt, having watched that full game at the weekend, that Bruno is carrying that ankle. It's very difficult to watch him on a TV game, but I watched him at the last home game against Arsenal. I watched him again. He looks, he's still 100% better than some people who could be in that position. But I really do think he's carrying something, I really do think he's carrying an injury, Kevin.
Yeah, from games gone by to Leeds Saturday, he looked to me better. He looked a little bit fitter. He looked a little bit more mobile. I don't know if that was due to Joe Linton maybe just dropping in behind him to give him a bit more freedom further forward, so he's not getting the press as quick. when he receives the ball with his back to goal, and he's going to get clattered from behind. But yeah, I thought he was. I mean, he's still managing the injury well until the end of the season. Then he's going to have probably a small up on that or something like that. But I don't know. Even when it was weird when he played the ball over for Anthony Gordon towards the end of the game, even when he's reaching, even to pass the ball, which I believe it's his right ankle, which is giving them problems. I'm not too sure with that. Either way, whichever, it doesn't really matter because you're standing forward, have to still support yourself. But the pass looked awkward. It just looks awkward. It doesn't feel comfortable to strike a ball properly, which is a red flag to me to say that he's not confident enough to apply pressure or strike the ball properly.
Yeah,
there's obviously something going on. We've got 3 games left. Can we just obviously the managing him through that injury, that process to get him some help in the summer, which I don't think. I mean, I've had an ankle surgery. It doesn't take that long to get a recovery from, especially his fitness levels and things like that. But yeah, so I think there's something going on, but obviously what the club are never going to tell you is just an ankle, it could be ligament, it could be bone structure, it could be all sorts of stuff. We just don't know. But just get him to the end of the season and then just wrap him up in cotton wool for a period of time and get him back ready for next year.
Yeah. Okay, Darren. It does seem, I mean, he could just be tired. He could be leggy. John mentioned it before there about players in general looking leggy. But do you think there's something wrong with Bruno, or is it just he's missing Longstaff?
It could be that, but I don't think I think the full squad's tired, Steve. It's been a long, hard season, and for the first time in a long time, the squad's tired because they've given 100% every single game. You can see it at the end of the game when they're knackered. When was the last time you seen your Newcastle players tired? But Bruno, he hasn't played well for the last 3 games. So I don't think he's got an injury, Steve. Like you said, hitting the nail on the head. But get 2 more games of the way and get him. If he needs an operation, he might need an operation for the start of the season.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So the club will never kind of come up and say, but he doesn't look right and that. But hopefully, you can get
question. I'm just saying, question for everybody. Do you think if mathematically we qualify for the Champions League, and Darren, I know you're not going to say that yet until we win 2 games in a row, but would you rest him against Chelsea if we qualify for the Champions League?
It's a good question. Somebody asked that. Somebody asked that. Yeah, somebody asked that in the chat, I think, as well, which is it's a good question.
I didn't even probably say it. I just had that thought. I was like, would you rest him?
Rest him straight away, mate. 100% rest him. Get him rest. If he needs operation, but I'll rest him straight away because he's playing. He hates to be dropped. That's the thing. Much player likes to be getting dropped. He might want to play. He might be saying, "I want to play," but it's hard. If I was a player, I would hate to be dropped. I would try to play through it and the season. You know what I mean? But I think he's carrying an injury, but because he hasn't been playing very well the last 3 games. But I've watched him. His worst game was against Arsenal. That was his worst game.
Yeah, and because he's playing against some top players in there, and it's a tough game. Alan Barry mentions here that if you've noticed, is it just me that Howe goes up to Bruno and says, "Are you all right?" every game. Lads, you watch. He's done it for a few games now. Yeah, I just think the fact that Barry, that in the press conferences, as you know, I do the press conference review. I listen to each one. In those initial weeks where we were looking at Bruno, thinking after that injury. He's carrying it, and he was going, "No, there's no problem, and Bruno was getting wheeled out, and then suddenly, in one of the press conferences, he turns around and goes, "Yeah, well, there has been an issue. It was affecting him for a couple of weeks, but he's okay now." And I just think they're asking him to push it through the pain barrier to get them across the line. I really do.
I think they're taking a huge risk with him. My worry is that they do a certain amount of damage that he can't get himself fit in the close season. I'm hoping that won't happen. I mean, if it was me, I know I'm probably not going to get some stick for this, but I would get him through the Brighton game if you can. I think we've got more than enough without him for the Leicester game, and I'd rather, if we didn't have the points by that stage, have him a little bit fit for the Chelsea game. I think
that's a fair shout. That's a fair.
I would give Anderson a shout in the Leicester game at home.
Problem with Anderson is he's not a centre midfielder. Do you know what I mean?
No,
So
I mean, you can move Joe Linton into midfield, into central midfield, switch Anderson out onto one of the wings or one of the other potential wingers. I think
that's been the big problem, you know, Barry. We've missed Joe Linton on the left.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's. I just worry with him. I mean, for me, Bruno is way above everybody else we've got. That's a horrible thing to say to the rest of the side, apart from maybe his bottom. He's a step above. Bruno is better with one leg
and
than
Isaac. I don't think, not as Isaac as well. I don't think.
But can you see?
Tick though, Vince. He's the heartbeat of the team.
Yeah.
You know, the player we want to build around. I would hate to think would do damage to him. I never thought in a million years Eddie Howe would play somebody who's not 100% fit. He seems quite happy to do it with Bruno to keep the team going.
I don't think he's happy, but I think
well,
I don't think he's happy, but I think it's if Bruno say I'm okay. Bruno say I'm fine. I want to play, and then because our midfield is not, we haven't got that many players to play in midfield. No, realistically, if you drop Bruno, who's going to play? And I see Alan said, but who's going to play the whole of midfield? Joe Willock. I can't say Joe Willock's doing that. Bruno's job.
He's never going to drop out. Not in a million years. He's 200%.
How about putting Fabian Shaw there and moving Dan Burn with Botman at the back?
See, this is the problem. You know yourself, Kev. I managed for 20 years, mate. And when you start moving players from here to there, honestly, it unbalances the team. You know, we're missing Longstaff. We needed somebody to go into the middle. Who's the next best option? You know, I tell you who I would have gone for before he got injured was Matt Ritchie. I'm sure Matt Ritchie could have done a holding role in that central midfield. That's
midfield. Just because you love him, Steve.
It's the Matt Ritchie.
But he would have done a job in there. Matt Ritchie would have done a job. He would have run himself into the ground, and he's got a hit on him. He would have scored goals. If you told Matt Ritchie to play a holding role in there and do what Sean Longstaff does and just sit that little bit deeper, Matt Ritchie could have done the job. It's too late now, and it's up to Eddie Howe. George, hopefully your internet's okay, and we've got you to ask you what your thoughts were on the Leeds game and about Bruno as well.
Yes. Well.
Oh, no.
Go on, George. It's gone again.
Well,
has he gone back to
big thing for me on the Leeds game was that they stuck to it.
Go on, George. Well, everyone else will have to stay.
I'll tell you what, I'll give it a rest now, lads. I'll come back another day.
No, come back on, George.
Everyone keeps
quiet.
We want
George.
Go on, George.
Go on, George.
Yeah, George.
Sign language, maybe.
Okay. Two things that would have got kicked out of it. And the other thing that you're talking about is Bruno. Well, as you know, Neil's looked into the soft tissue injuries quite a bit. And that problem for Eddie Howe, it's a soft tissue injury. And the only way to do it is to actually stop altogether. And that.
Yeah, we've lost him again, unfortunately. George, not having the greatest of nights. To be honest, we've had torrential hailstones here now. Unbelievable weather we're having here. But Donald, your views on Bruno?
Bruno, it's a case of needs must really, because we haven't got any backup there, because he is the man who can, you know, who can pick a pass, pick a quality pass, but it's all about the depth. We haven't got the depth to be able to bring somebody in who can, you know, do a Bruno-like job. But Bruno's, you know, a player on his own, in his own right. So it's a case of needs must. It's a case of they've just got to, manage it. But I do agree with the lads. Should we get past Brighton, get past Leicester, then it's a case of we've got to rest him, you know, because we need him fit and ready for next season. So that's what I would say there.
Yeah, your views on Bruno, Vince?
Yeah, like says, I think it's we obviously don't know what discussions go on and what's going on, like says, but Bruno to me is he's a happy bloke, and you see him on the internet and stuff like he's a happy lad, like says, And you can tell that's what he wants to do. He wants to play football. He's going to have a lot to say. And if he's gone to house, gone to him like, oh, how are you doing? You all right? And if he's quite happy to play on, he's going to. I think he's going to. He seems like that type of lad. He wants to give he's come here. He wants to give his all for Newcastle. But you can't like, I'm like you, Steve, like his Arsene. Yeah, you can tell, gets to a certain point, he starts limping. He does, like, he's definitely done something. But like his
sorry.
Like for me, like, yeah, just that's what it is. But I think like this is it. We're talking about like how the player himself will know it. If he knew it was something that serious that's really going to hurt him, he would stop. He would stop. So if he believes in himself that he can still do it, he can still do the job, then I would say, like, yeah, I think that's what it is. I think how spoke to him, like, but if Bruno's got control of it as well, and if he's quite happy to play there, that's what he's doing. Like, and I think if he dropped in the Chelsea game, I think Bruno would want to see it out. Bruno's like, I think he's that type of player, and that. So like, so yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, who can really put in there? I know, like, he is the man, but like,
but what?
Yeah, for me, like, it's a two-way thing. Like, the player's got to see himself, and I think like he's obviously had a lot to say about it.
George, you're having an absolute nightmare, unfortunately. Thankfully, we got those with the dates done this afternoon, George. Otherwise, that would have been a nightmare. It hasn't worked tonight for George, unfortunately. We'll get him back on next week. So, John, your views on Bruno? I mean, what Paul Tweedy actually sent us a question earlier on. He said, question for the lads tonight. If they were, how would they take Bruno out of the team now or still pick him because that ankle isn't getting any better game by game? So, I mean, yeah, what's your views on the Bruno injury, first of all? And is it an injury, or are we just imagining this? What have you said on your channel?
I just don't, if I'm honest with you, sort of thing, he loves playing for the club. You can see that. He wants to give us all for Newcastle United, which I think is fantastic. But I just don't think he's been the same Bruno, to be honest with you. He's not moving well. I think Coffey said earlier on he took a shot against Arsenal. It's a tame shot. But for me personally, right, I mean, you got to trust the player. If he's happy to carry on the years, cool. That's fine. But let's hope he does get any long-term damage to his ankle, man, because I tell you what, we're going to need him for all the games. I mean, like someone said that, do you really need him against Leicester City? Probably may have enough to beat Leicester without Bruno and playing for the Chelsea game with need speed. But at the end of the day, it has to be the same Bruno. But since the season's up, Steve, I think they need to get that checked out. And I'm sure it will get checked out before the new season starts, yeah, because he's been a revelation for the season first. And he's been absolutely superb. But at the end of the day, talking about squad depth, we definitely need another CDM as well as cover sort of things. That's what we need. That is, if we get Champions League, there's two we should get: Declan Rice, Moises Caicedo. Anyway,
great shouts. Either of those
two players, Steve. Proper CDM. We haven't got a CDM. We haven't got a CDM at a club. We need a CDM, and that's what it is. Look at the top clubs. Man City's got one. Rodri. Arsenal's got one. Partey or Jorginho, right? That's what we need, and make a huge difference to have a CDM. It's as simple as that. And I'm sorry I said for that's my mistake. It's Bruno.
I don't need to correct you because the chat just jumps straight in. Doesn't matter who it is. Anyway, we're halfway through the show, slightly over, but as always, time for the ads. A big shout out to all our sponsors. Thanks to Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's sauces, handmade in Cumbria. You can order them from their website, mrvickies.co.uk, or by calling 01768 210 102. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video technology. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. If you enjoy the show, please hit the little thumb under the video and like the video. Click share to share to your other social media, or subscribe. It's free and we do 7 shows a week. If you want to become a member, you can click join underneath this video. There are different packages to suit all different pockets. And if you want to become a cult member, then put your smartphone over the QR code. It'll take you straight there to the website, which is nufcmatters.com. If you go in via the website, just click membership pack. What do you get for your money? You get a pen, you get a cup, you get a membership card and a scarf, and entry into the monthly draw. Don't forget, we are available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. And we also support the food bank on this show. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is where you'll find the Matchday bucket. You can make a virtual donation today. We've also got some events coming up over the next couple of months. An evening with Peter Beardsley at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets available from newcastlelegends.com, or go to Voucher and get a 40% discount. Our end of season do is the 27th of May at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets are a tenner from nufcmatters.com. An evening with Gavin Peacock takes place on July the 10th at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Tickets from nufcmatters.com for that event. And the following night, Gavin will be at the Time House Surf Cafe. Go to their website for ticket information. We've got a vast range of t-shirts, merchandise and memorabilia available at our website. The Isaac t-shirt is doing well. Go to nufcmatters.com to buy one today. Okay, we're going to start off on another point that Kev wanted to bring up, and that's e-tickets. We discussed it on the Amigos briefly on Friday, spoke a bit about it on the professionals yesterday, but the club are going to bring in an e-ticket for games. Now, what point did you want to make on e-tickets?
This is what happens here in the process here. It's pretty much like going through an airport. It's just, I'll be brief. It's pretty much going like through an airport. So you've got your e-ticket, whatever, but you've got scanners as well. So if we can do that, again, this is going to be broad brush, and this is my opinions and thoughts of how it should be done. If you do it like at the main end, like the entrance into the parking lot on Barrett Road, and you've got entry points, and there's only 3 gates you can get into. So pretty much you segregate the ground itself. So if you haven't got a ticket, you can't get into that part of the ground. So like on Strawberry Corner, you can put like security, what you would have at the airport. You've got people there who know. You've got cameras everywhere. So that was pretty much my thought on it. And it's easy. If you're a season ticket holder, you have a card. You don't have you don't have to use your phone. So you can just scan your card. It's exactly the same thing as that will access the QR code as well as your season ticket card. So yeah, I just had a thought when I was listening to it on the Migos show, saying, well, can we not just put entry points across the stadium, which we have here in Atlanta, and it's easier. Then you can have entry into. You've got your smoking areas. You've got this. You've got that. You've got whatever. You've got bars outside, it's not like mini fan zones essentially all the way around the outside of it, but it's a lot more secure and it's a lot more easier to get in. There's less issues getting into specific turnstiles. So once you know your gate, so you can go in any gate because you've got access into the stadium. You can go anywhere within that, then go to your specific turnstile, and then you have less at the turnstile to get into your seat itself. So I think that from my perspective, it's a lot easier, especially when you're parking in one area and you've got to get across to the other end. I can just go in one part and then it's, wherever you're coming from. So yeah, that's how it works here, and it works really well. Depending on, there's a mass rush to get into the stadium, obviously, but there's a little bit of a queue because you get body searched, you get this, you get that. It's like TSA when you come here in the United States, you get like a literal pat down before you even get into the stadium. So again, from what happened at the weekend, if that occurs, then that, with objects on you, knives, this and that and the other, that's not going to happen because you've got to take your phones out, you've got to take everything out, scan it, and then you go through, and then you scan your ticket to get in. So again, it's a bit more secured, and then if you're eligible to get into the stadium, then you're in. If you're not, well, sorry, you're going to be on the outside looking in, essentially. So that was just my thoughts on it, and it worked. It's streamlined here. It's like a Ticketmaster idea or concerts and this and that. So it's just like anything, like across the whole spectrum of, event goers, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Darren. You know, e-tickets. Some people were making the point on the Amigos about, you know, well, I like to have a ticket. You know, it's the memory of having been to that game. I mean, I've still got my ticket from '92 when we stayed up at Leicester, for example. You know, Wembley Cup final tickets. I keep them. You know, but a lot of people at Wembley went down there. They had it on their phones. But then you've got the counter argument to that, where some people haven't got a smartphone, don't want a smartphone. You know, what you know, they're going to have to print a ticket off, and you know, people say, "Well, I haven't got a printer," but then you've got to go and get it printed off by somebody. So you know, you're never going to please everybody because people don't like change. Is e-tickets the way forward, Darren?
Probably is, but like I wouldn't suggest the phone because you kind of get signals at St James's Park sometimes. Come 2:30, you kind of need signal on your phone. Do you know what I mean? So.
That's why you get sponsored by a mobile phone company who can run the internet through the stadium.
Yeah, I keep saying Mike Ashley put blocks on all our mobile phones so we couldn't criticise him.
A match day, you kind of come like say 2 o'clock off 2. You kind of get any signal around the ground at all and 2 hours after the game. So I don't think that by the phone wouldn't work for me personally because it's that many total bills around Newcastle. So the e-tickets would, as long as you got a card to go and scan, it would work, but just not by the phone. I don't think the phone's a good idea. You kind of get your nice LC, you kind of get signal, send through messages to get 2 hours later, don't you?
I think season tickets will be the same. Somebody's made the point in the chat there. There will go mighty win. Pretty sure the new electronic system will only apply to what were paper tickets from the box office, not season tickets, which will stay the same, which is a good point. Barry, I tell you what will probably go down well amongst people is like away tickets, I guess. People will be scratching their heads going, well, what happens with an away ticket? Well, again, you'll have to get it on your phone. I mean, I remember when we came through COVID, I remember going to games, you had to show you had your jabs. Liverpool, for example. Going into the Anfield Road, and you were shown you had to go down, you had to wait, and the steward was there. You had to show it on your mobile phone that you'd had your COVID jab, and then you were allowed in. So it's been tried and tested already, that kind of method. But I guess with away tickets, it's going to be the same at some point. And what's your views on e-tickets?
I think it's a great idea. I think we're almost missing a trick as well because we could have an official e-ticket sponsor. You know, that gives us so much money for using their system of e-tickets and help boosting their sort of recognition throughout the. I think it's the way forward. It's like everything else. You know, you go to the pictures now. I never have a ticket for the pictures anymore. You've got your phone, you've got your little bar, your little square on the phone that you show at your desk, and you go through straight away. At one time, you would have kept them as a memento of going to whatever. I think it's the way forward. I do think you've got to have, like you say, Steve, that. For people who don't have printers or don't have access to the iPhones or whatever else it needs, there's got to be something along those lines. But that's where the club was talking about having a specific team at the ground who deal with that, who were there on a particular match day to sort out those problems. We've got to get with the times. I think football, like you guys said the other day, Steve, is lagging behind technology-wise. I think so. Go for it. I think it'll only make things easier. And a huge plus for me is the thing you talked about where it was ticket draws for cup games, this sort of thing, all of that style of it. When everything's electronic or we've got everybody's details electronic, it's going to be much easier to sort out. I think there's probably so many newer things we can bring in. I don't see why we're not using it, to be honest. I understand people have the tradition of the tickets, but if they're that, you can still, I'm sure you'll be able to print them off at the club if you really want a copy to keep it home for a memento. I'm sure you will be able to.
Yeah, okay. Vince, what's your views on e-tickets? Somebody in the chat, I'm conscious who it was. Third show on e-tickets. Well, it's not the third show on e-tickets. We haven't dedicated a whole hour to e-tickets, for God's sake. 10, 15 minutes. You must just tune in at the wrong time, unfortunately. The Dark Lord, Vince, go on, e-tickets.
Well, it is, like, says, the future, like, says the future is, yeah, you know what I mean?
Somebody's compared it to 1984 and George Orwell. Where's that message? Craig Lee, keep paper, digital money and ID is a prison. Orwell warned you. There you go.
No,
I'm afraid it's what's going to happen. Everywhere else is going into it. Like you go to concerts and things like that. They're getting on it. It's all through e-tickets and stuff like that. It's just what's going to happen. It's going to be just something new we have to get used to. Like it says, for the ones who can't, I'm sure that like the club are already thinking about like having something at the clubs that can just go there, pick something up or whatever, get it through that. But it's the futures, yeah. I'm just waiting for the robot referee to replace these numpties on the pitch. Like says, we can't make a decision. Like
couldn't do any worse.
I tell you, man. A referee would just, but a robot would just be basic. Is that a foul? Yes. Is it a foul? Yes. Yellow card. It's like that. It's it. Where you've got these idiots who are going, well, what's the badge? Oh no, it's all right. It's all right. You can go away, son. It's all right.
You old cynic, Vince.
Hey, I've seen enough.
You've seen enough.
But no, like it's just like we're going with the times. It will come in. We'll find out what we can do with it. But
yeah, hanging with my Nomi says we've already got robot refs. Yeah, you're not wrong. George looks like he's frozen again. Can we hear him?
Oh no.
Go ahead, George.
He looks like a Cyberman with them. Yep.
Don't you'll be giving people lookalike ideas. No, George. George is gone again, sadly. Donald, e-tickets.
The whole of the day, George, isn't he?
Yes.
I mean, the world is changing. E-tickets. I mean, it's when we travel, we use them on our phones, especially going to the airport. As Barry just mentioned, when we go to the cinema now, no paper. We just get the old QR code scanned and go and get your seat. Yeah, obviously, most importantly, that we're going to have to make sure we've got the right infrastructure in place so it works, like a well-oiled machine. But one thing about e-tickets, obviously, you've got no danger. Whereas when you get them paper ones, there's always the danger you misplace them. But with an e-ticket, at least it'll be there on your phone, in your emails or whatever. So there's no danger of misplacing it. But just going back to my original point, got to have the infrastructure in place first, making sure it's, running like a slick machine.
And
yeah,
and that's my point, Donald. With Darren Eales being where he was previous, it's well oiled, and he understands that process. And I think that's what he's going to be implementing as finances. Costs a bit of money, obviously, but but at the same time, that's money well spent. And it's ideal. And I thought about when people were talking, just wait until you have no cash in the stadium, and you've got to use a prepaid debit card to use your money. That's what we have to do in Atlanta. There's no cash whatsoever.
Well,
you've got
at half time they want to pay cash for the paint because it's quicker. Because if you got the other one, you pay on your card, the queues are made long.
But it's across the board, so the lines will be the same. So you've got little kiosks, you can put your money in and you get a prepaid card.
I know.
I know it's
what the club do at half time. You get a bottle, you pay your cash, it's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
You got the other one, you pay by your card, the queues are made a lot. Do you know what I mean?
I know what I mean. I just haven't been there for 4 years, so.
John, what's your views on e-tickets?
Listen, I've done that once or twice in Italy when I went to obviously I do like Italian football and then went to Milan and I used it then. I think it's the way to go, to be fair. And if it's used correctly, sort of, on your phone, and I think it's easier. I think it's just go in, swipe in, and away you go. But if the Wi-Fi, do you need a Wi-Fi really? Not really. Do you know what I mean? But it'll work anyway, either way. But I think it's going to way to go, Steve. So. Yeah, when it's going to come out? Will it be next season?
No, next season by all accounts.
Wow! Yeah. I tell you what, though, I mean, probably that's the way to go. Then, as long as she uses correctly, sort of like, as long as she uses security.
They didn't put the Wi-Fi there because you kind of.
I'd like to know. I would like to know who they spoke to about it. I mean, we had the trust who were negotiating, with regards to tickets. The club spoke to them. I'm not sure whether this has been put out to supporters or whether this is just something the club have decided to do and that's that, and we don't get a choice. But I certainly don't recall hearing anybody mention this and say that this had been discussed at a fans level.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, what like you said earlier, what if you haven't got mobile phone? How else you going to do it? How else you going to do it on paper, sort of thing, or just go to someone else and?
Yeah, like your card, your season ticket card, or even if you can purchase online and things like that, and it'll probably be distributed to you, or you could again paper or whatever. That's how I've got in. I went with sheets, realms of paper, and just scanned it and went. But again, that's a bit of a pain in the backside.
Could be the way to go. Could be the way to go then.
Good point made by Ian. E-tickets can easily be sold by touts. They can be printed off more than once and sold multiple times, and the first one at the gate gets in, not the rest.
No, because it's disagree because it's got to be a verified sale through the club. It can't be passed on through person to person. There's got to be verified sale only.
What if it was hacked? What if your internet was hacked and somebody got into your email account and printed it off? Just being devil's advocate.
I mean, yeah. But that happens. But at the same time, it's a verified sale. So, like, if I've got my season ticket and sell it on, then again, it'll ultimately come back to me.
Yeah. I mean, look, whoever did that, would then, if it would be caught, who knows? But it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
I'm for it. I mean, I'm.
There's a lot of grey areas and grey lines and what
I can use technology. I'm not against it. I understand why they want to do it, and I think it's a good idea. Has there been any consultation? I don't think there has. But we will go. Look, we've got 5 minutes left. Big welcome to people who've jumped in as well. I know there's a lot of people from John's channel on here. Alan Little, Rocket Toon, Hang On Me Nomies. Welcome to you all. Thanks for joining us tonight. I will reciprocate and come on to John's channel at some point in the near future. But we just want to ask the panel about Ward-Prowse, because a lot of people asking about Ward-Prowse. Southampton are going to be in the Championship next season. Life Goals was first in asking, should we sign James Ward-Prowse to have another free kick option? Mark Kerrigan, what about Ward-Prowse in the summer? Mag debates, what about Ward-Prowse next year? I think he fits, Kevin, Eddie Howe's kind of pattern of player. I think he would be somebody who would come in who he seems to be quite quiet, get about the job, very professional on and off the pitch. Is it a step up? What do you think?
Step up, maybe not, but it's a squad depth. And I just wrote down. I seen something a while ago. He's only 25.
Yeah,
he's still in the middle. Coming to the prime of his career. And again, like we said about Gordon, give him a pre-season and how he wants him to play, and you never know. But again, I think he's got more to him than a free kick. Yes, he's wonderful from a dead ball. Of course he is. We've all seen that, and it's spectacular. But I think he's got more to his game than that. Yes, he didn't play great against us when they came up not too long ago, and their destiny was sealed the other day. But that's a different story for for a different day. But yeah, I wouldn't mind him. He's a cheaper option to Declan Rice, which I agree. I would love to have Declan Rice or Caicedo from Brighton. But again, it's where we are in terms of like filling in for Sean Longstaff. You can play him in a European game or play him in a cup game or put him in a horses for courses Premier League game where he knows he's played in the Premier League since. When I seen he was 25, I nearly hit the floor. I was like, it seems like he's been around for ages.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got that much Premier League experience, which again I think Eddie Howe likes in terms of being English, Premier League experience. Knows, unfortunately being relegated with Southampton, but that's football, that happens. But it could be one of those where probably get him on the cheap, and his salary. I stand corrected, 28. But still, he's coming into the prime of his career. He'd probably, on not much money, relatively cheap signing, get him in. Why not? What's the worst? What's the worst that could happen for somebody like that? They give him the opportunity to play in the Champions League. So yeah, it's one of those ones. Yes.
Ward-Prowse, Darren.
No, for me, I don't. If he want to go to the next level, I just don't think he's our type of player. I think we can get better on him, and I'm not a fan. He's good for his set pieces and that, but you can't just say the players for his free kicks and corners. I think we do a lot better on Ward-Prowse to me personally.
Okay, Emmett's got some inside information. He says, James Ward-Prowse, I hear he's a good lad in the dressing room. A total saint, apparently. Harry, he set himself up with the amigos, isn't he? James Ward-Prowse, would you like to see him in Newcastle if we could get him?
I think the thing that will cost us with him is English premium. I don't think he's worth much more than 30 million. And I think they'll be asking more than that for him. And once you start getting into that realm, I think we can get better quality players from abroad. I do think he's a good player. Don't get us wrong. I think 28. If Kevin was right, if he was 25, I would have been more interested. 28, it's not Howe's age range that he's looking at. He's looking to build players for the future and give them a good few years in the team. I think he'd be too much, Steve. I think he's a good player, but I think his price will be too high for what you'll get from him. I'd rather have Madison.
All right, Jay Jones says Ward-Prowse without the set pieces is very limited. JWP will sit on the bench too much if he is lucky. Adam says maybe it's Tony, who sadly we lost earlier on. He has to improve our current set piece as it's woeful at the minute. I've got to agree, Adam, or Tony, whoever it is. You are right 100%. Ward-Prowse, no thanks. Lavia is the one you want from Southampton, which was another one that Life Goals suggested. Vince, Ward-Prowse, I mean, for me, I wouldn't grumble, but like somebody mentioned earlier, Don, I will happily go with whatever Eddie thinks.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, that's it. Like, says we'll just go with it. Like, if Eddie thinks he's the man, then that's it. I'll definitely go with that. But for me, like, says, I mean, like, says if he thinks he's in the prime of career, is he going to come here to sit on the bench and get odd games? Even though, some of them will be in the Champions League, he might still want to think, all right, I want full team football. So again, would he come to us? And he's going to get relegated. But there will be not just us in for him, there will be others as well. And so he might want to go somewhere else to get more of a game. Because I think if he does come here, he won't be, like, says the first team, it'll be rotation. I think that's the kind of player he'll be. But I don't think he'll want that.
Yeah. Okay. What's your views? Dunno?
28, Southampton, as Barry has mentioned, they'll put a premium on him, and basically he won't represent good resale value. Whereas if we try and go for somebody a bit younger, like that, is it Subbers, whatever? I ain't going to pronounce that. But
yeah, good luck with that. Buzzer.
Soza. Yeah, we'll call him Soza. That guy sounds a better option at 22, and if he improves with us, then we can sell him at a profit later on. But we ain't going to be able to do that with the likes of Ward-Prowse if they ask for stupid ass money, like whatever, 50, 60 million, because Southampton will want to cash in on him at the end of the day, because with them dropping down into the next division. And as Vince has mentioned, he'll want to come here and be the man, play regularly, but that's not going to happen, is it? So now I would say look elsewhere.
Look elsewhere. Okay. What about you, John?
He's going to be 29 in November, but look, you know what he's like with set pieces. Cool, that is fine. I'll go with Rachel as well. So no, for me, I want more than that in the midfield. I'd rather go for a younger player, if I'm honest with you. I'll go for that Dominic lad for Leipzig as well. I think he'd be 60 mil. I mean, he's a cracking player, and I think I'd take him all day long, because I do like European football. This guy can play on the right side. Midfield's a 10. I'd rather sign him than James, because for me personally, like Dunno said, you're not going to get resale value for him as well. 40, 50 million quid. And good luck at that, Southampton, because you're not going to get that sort of money. It's just no way. Because personally, I wouldn't take him. He just takes 3 kicks, and that's it. Another question as well, I'll go with Mason. Do you think, will he leave the South Coast? Will he leave the South? Probably not.
Good point.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point by Mason. Yeah. John, I'll let you have this one. I wouldn't normally go in with another one, but Craig posted this earlier, and it's quite a good question. We'll finish off on this. Would you prefer to qualify for the Champions League and go out in the group stage, John, or qualify for the UEFA Cup, Europa, and win it?
Ooh, Craig,
I was not allowed to answer that one.
You put us on the spot, my guy. Listen, Craig's question for me personally. I just want to be Champions League. I mean, look, at the end of the day, right? We still got time to win other trophies as well, but Champions League is the it's the holy grail for us. End of the day, like I want to get Champions League this season. Yeah, I mean I've got elite mentalities, what you want to call it. But at the end of the day, I want to get Champions League this season. If we get Europa League, cool. Then we go to Europa League. We are where we are. But give us Champions League any time of the day.
Spot on. Donald, what about you?
Oh, yeah, definitely Champions League. I mean, you know, you want to play in the best stadiums. You want to play against, you know, the best teams. But should we qualify for Europa League, then obviously, you know, go all the way and win it. Because if we win it, then we get we qualify for the Champions League for the following season, don't we? So, you know, it's a great situation both ways. I mean, the Champions League brings in the money, but if we, you know, win the Europa League, then we still qualify anyway the following season. So, you know, that's what.
All right, Vince.
Both.
You've got to do one at a time, Vince.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, like, well, of course, it's Champions League, and it's what you want. It's where the money is. It's what brings your players in and stuff like that. But do you still drop out even if we're qualified, finish third in the group stage? We'd drop into the UEFA Cup anyway, so wouldn't it?
Yep.
I don't know. I
So-
have to check.
Yeah, we do.
I think so. Like, I think it's finished third. Like I said, you were dropping that anyway. So we've got 2 bites of the cherry anyway. There, you know what I mean? But yeah, definitely Champions League, of course, man.
Yeah, well, that's Champions League for me. Barry, what about you?
It's a hard one. I know what you're saying, but if
not
the question was, were you guaranteed to win the UEFA Cup? I would like to see Newcastle win a trophy while I've still got some teeth.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to continue getting water and water. And I know, don't get us wrong, it's going to happen at some stage. But the question was, would you want guaranteed UEFA Cup? And I would just love it if we won a trophy. I think it's going to be a good few years before we can win the Champions League. Don't get us wrong. I think qualifying for it, we're there or thereabouts. Winning it is a completely different game.
I agree.
You know, as some of the top teams in the world have found out, you've got to be much further above our level than to actually win the Champions League. Yeah. And just to see Newcastle win a trophy, I'd die a happy man. So I'd take the UEFA Cup now. Give us it.
Yeah. Okay, Darren.
That's the week after.
See it, Darren. See it.
No, I'm going to UEFA Cup. I like Barry said, because I want to win a cup, and I just think the other words we're not there yet, and I just UEFA Cup, boys.
Okay, Kevin.
I'll say it. Get in the Champions League. However, if we do the rules stay, get into the Europa League, because I watched a lot of Europa League this year. For some reason, just to sit watch some football. I think we can go win that because the standard is not the best. It's still European football. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I would rather lift a trophy and agree with Barry and the rest of the lads. I want to see something lifted at the end of the day. That's what we're in it to. That's what we're in it to win it. If it's a Champions League, we'll go win the Champions League. If it's whatever, we'll go and try and lift that. That's my opinion.
Yep. Well, Rachel says, but you need to experience Champions League to improve in it. I go Champions League every day. Jade Jones says, go out to Champions League group finishing third, which puts into a Europa anyway.
Exactly.
A good sides get eliminated from the Champions League into the UEFA Cup, lads, acting like it would be almost a given to win, says Benny. Vince is poking a Champions League stick. Adam says, Tony, says, I don't think we are strong enough squad-wise for the Champions League. I think a lot of people would agree. Yeah. Les says, we know you don't mean it, Darren. The fact that Madison's dropped off the radar probably means we're more likely to sign him a la Isaac, says the mighty win. Yeah, that would be nice. Spursy got to a Champions League final. Let that sink in. And we're going to win the Champions League. We're going to leave on that positive note from Andrew. Big shout out to everybody in the chat, all the moderators. Thanks to everybody who's come over from John's channel tonight to experience a bit of NUFC matters. And as always, thanks to to Kev. Thanks to Darren. Thanks to Barry. Thanks to Vince. Thanks to Dunno. Thank you also to George, who tried in vain, but the internet beat him. And a big thanks to John, who has John Sinclair TV. Go over there and subscribe and follow some of John's content. Last, but by no means least, I will be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock in the afternoon with Ross Gregory. And I've done, for those of you who are slightly older and remember Superstars, I did a wonderful interview with Brian Jacks today, who now lives in Thailand. I tell you what, that was probably one of my most enjoyable interviews with a former celebrity that I've done. It was 45 minutes. It was just great. Good laugh. You'll see it. I'll put it up on Saturday, so you'll be able to enjoy that. He's got a couple of stories about ex-Newcastle players, Kevin Keegan and Malcolm McDonald as well, who took part in Superstars. So worth tuning in just for that, even if you don't know who he is. But for now, have a good evening. Everybody enjoy the match tonight. Come on, Leicester.
Come on, Leicester.
Come on, Leicester.
Come on, Leicester.
Cheers, lad.
Yeah.